Hello. So, I wanted to make a video about relationships. And the reason why is because I have been doing a whole bunch of shadow work recently, and what came up was relationships. So, I've been diving into that a lot. Okay? My psyche was like, "Oh, you want to dig up some shit? Here's some shit," right? And so, here we are. So, I came through with some really good revelations that truly helped me in my vision of an ideal relationship for me. You know where it led? It led to me not desiring a relationship at all. I am super happy being with myself because this is the ideal relationship and it only gets better. If you look at a lot of law of attraction or anything like that, right, they'll say, write all the qualities that you want in an ideal relationship and then become those qualities. But they never really tell you why, right? They're like, well, it's because when you attract that person's going to be attracted to you. You're trying to be the ideal person for that person, right? So basically, you need to be the ideal person for you. I think what that really means, at least the way I interpret it, is that you have to dissect yourself inside and out when it comes to your relationships, which means looking not at other people. It's not their fault that you react a certain way. Okay? You are probably still living from experiences that happened to you from the ages of 0 to 8. Now, I like to say 0 to 10 just to keep it on that safe side because I had a lot of shit happen from 0 to 10 that left me with some pretty big impressions that have affected me into my adult life. But in general psychology, right, they say at the ages 0 through 8, that's when you are developing your perception of the world. So the experiences that you have as a child during these time periods, right, 0 to 8 or 0 to 10, you are developing an idea as to how to react to these experiences so you can better survive, right? On top of that, you are already programmed to survive, to try and survive, to find a way to adapt, just from ancestry and all that kind of stuff, right? And in our study groups, as magicians, we like to think that time is not just in the span of one lifetime, but in many. So you might be bringing stuff up from many times beforehand as well, right? So from 0 to 10, I'm going to keep that in the general, right? 0 to 10, we have relationships that are still happening around us, and we are observing them with our childlike eyes. And what are we wanting the most as children? Approval, right? We want friends. We want friends. We want to have a good time. We want to feel safe. We want to feel secure. We want to feel happy. We want all these things. And the people who can provide that are who? Our parents and our surrounding adults and the other kids. So when you're looking into an ideal relationship, what happened to me was that I knew my patterns of behavior were from childhood as to why I was choosing the same person but who had different faces, but I couldn't exactly pinpoint it. I just blamed it to what happened to my father. But there was so much more of it that came up in recent months. So one of those things was that when I was a child, my parents lived in separate bedrooms. Okay, and my father had depression, schizophrenia, and Tourette's. All of them he left untreated. So he would be up for days on end. He would have extreme anger outbursts at times. He never hurt us, but he would get mad, and you would see it. Very emotionally distant for a while and then very, very awesome, like just flip like a switch kind of thing. And my mom, she was always working and always kind of putting together of the house. And we never really talked about Dad's issues. But I thought it was very normal for this kind of stuff to happen. And my mom always told me that when I was young, right, maybe like 3 or 4, we'd be walking and I would try to link their hands together to hold hands, because they never held hands, because they were not a couple for as long as I had been living. They were one of those couples that stayed together for the kids, that kind of thing. And then when I was 8, so I always used to go to my dad's work when he was a photographer, and so I used to explore and with him and go to all these cool places where he would take photographs and all that kind of stuff. And so so one day we were in the gymnasium when I was 8, and he asked me if I would like to go with him to work. And the one time I said no, I would like to go with my mom to her school. He said okay. That night he killed himself, and I never saw him again. So a lot of my PTSD and feeling valuable came from that moment alone, yes. But the storyline that I continued to play out was up to that moment. I realized that every man that I had ever dated, I used to say I liked them passionate, but really they were like drug addicts, or they had severe issues, anger issues, were very abusive, that kind of thing. I was finding the role for my father, right? I was finding that, and because for me there was comfort in that. There was a familiarity, and even though it was uncomfortable and very, very painful, it was familiar. And I used to invite them to move in with me, and I would take care of them, okay? So not only would I date the same person that I wanted to play as that actor for, okay, you are the husband, this is what a husband should look like, but I also would build my entire environment to reflect the one that I had when I was a child. And this even reflected in my friendships. To this day, I need to check myself on my own boundaries, because I will allow people to come in and take things from me that, such as time, energy, my resources, all that kind of stuff. And I have a hard time saying no. I always second guess myself from various experiences when I had a kid, where I was taught that it was selfish to keep things to yourself, right? Plus, with the idea that if I don't give this to them, I may never see them again. What if this one time I say no and I never see them again because they do something horrible, right? So there's a lot of internal behaviors that the hurt child inside is reacting to. Because when they didn't react to situations like this, in their mind, in child Alora's mind, bad things happened, right? Love wasn't felt. It was sadness and it was loss. So I think a lot of us, right, in our culture, it's very combative. I was watching an interview recently and it really bothered me, because they were like, okay, come up with some one word for how you view men in dating. And the girls were like, manipulative. And they were saying all these things, and it was always like, you men, you men, you men, you men. And they never once brought up their own behavioral patterns, how they developed the environment for that to happen, right? What accreditation or affirmation from others are you really seeking? Because I guarantee you, as an adult now, you are still operating from that child's perspective that wants to have friends, that wants to feel the love from mother and father, that wants to know that they are safe and that they are okay. And if you don't meet that child again, and let those perceptions and impressions change and go, you're going to continue acting out the same shit. A lot of my conditions for an ideal relationship that I had were based off of the fears that child Alora had. Now, since resurfacing that, becoming aware of it, fully of my actions, I've been able to take one step at a time to releasing those conditions. Because it's not about the other person. It's about me. It is. It's about you. And when you finally meet that integral part of your personality, of who you are in relationships, and you break that aspect of you down and you're actually able to change it, you're going to have a new viewpoint of relationships, because you're no longer going to be operating from the hurt self. You're going to be operating from a new archetype, one that is more powerful, one that is more empowered, one that has more of a voice, that feels safe all the time, especially alone and in their own skin. Remember, that was a part of your childhood too. Being alone was, at least for me, kind of cool. I had my imaginary friends. I could do all my shit, you know? There was a whole other picture there that I hadn't been focusing on, because when it came to relationships, I was always focusing on the other people. I need to keep you. I need to keep you. I need to keep you, because I was continuously reenacting that stressful part of that environment. But when I was able to bend my perspective to realize all the other parts of, you know, little Laura going out into the woods and playing fairies and all this kind of cool shit, and I started bonding with that and having that become the impression, different aspects of the dating personality came up. That really was that inner confidence, that inner beauty, that inner specialness, the specialness, right? All of the inner strength came up. And then a new perception of an ideal relationship came up. And there is no more force. There's no more forcing it. I don't need to manifest a relationship. I have a beautiful one right now. So I hope this helped. I hope this offered some type of wisdom, so then you can take it or leave it on your journey, whatever. And I hope that you also share your wisdom and feedback down in the comments, because the type of culture that I would personally like to see develop, especially in North America, is one that is less you, and more based off of inspiration, built off of self-reflection, and building shit together. So, much love, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.